This is a production of KMmedia.pro. Welcome back to Positive Talk Radio. Our goal is simple: to explore evolving ideas one conversation at a time. So come on over into our world. I know you'll like it, because on today's show, today we're going to feature, by the way, my name is Kevin McDonald, and you're listening to Positive Talk Radio, but you knew that because we just started the show. But today we're going to feature a young lady who is a vocal coach. She is a vocal producer, a music producer, a songwriter, an artist, a public speaker, unlike me, of course. And she has been working at her craft for a very long time. Well, not that long, but she's really gifted at what she does. And we wanted to have her here to help all of us to learn how to, and she works with people to learn how to speak professionally and to not burn out their voice, and to use all the tricks of the trade. And you can actually go to, and I'll do this for her right now. You can go to judyrodman.com and follow along with us. That's Judy Rodman, RODMAN.com. And she also, at the very front page, she's got a 9-page report that you can get, and it's all free for you there. But first, before we go talk to her, I have to talk to Eric. How are you, Eric?
Good afternoon, Kevin. I'm doing great.
You thought I'd forgotten about you, and so you were just going to go away and have a nice quiet afternoon, and then I had to bother you.
No, I just at the last second realized that I had my mic set to talk to you before the show, but I didn't have it set to talk to folks on the air. So, I had to fix that real quick.
Very good, very good.
Spring is in the air, so, thoughts are on other things aside from my work here momentarily. So
exactly. Well, spring is here, isn't it?
It is here, yes. Yeah.
Wow.
In fact, I think it was about 35 minutes ago officially when spring started.
So now spring has sprung, so now we should be, amorous and anyway. No, so that's anyway. But I wanted to mention that there's something else happening in our world that in addition to working with KKNW and being on StreamYard, two different StreamYards, two different YouTubes, two different Facebooks, both Positive Talk and KKNW's, and you can go live and watch us do the show and stuff like that. But April 14th, something new is happening.
Yes. Tell us about it.
I love the fact that when he looks at me, he has no earthly idea what I'm going to say. On April 14th, which is a Friday at 3:00, we will also, in addition to being here at noon on KKNW, we will be on Kixie Light at 3:00 on Fridays as well. So now
on 880 AM KIXI. That's right.
And that is a 50,000 watt station that goes all the way to the Alaska border and down to Olympia and all that kind of stuff. So you'll be able to hear Positive Talk Radio, and we're going to have some of the best guests. Some of it will be the best of, but a lot of it's going to be live, I think. And Eric is still going to be with us. We'll be in a different studio. Well, I'll be in the same studio. He'll be in a different studio. But we're going to do that. So we will be on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So it'll be very Monday, fun. Wednesday, Friday. It'll be fun. So,
lots of chances to hear Positive Talk Radio.
And some of the great guests that we have on. And speaking of which, we have one on today. I wanted to have her here because she's very, very gifted at what she does as far as being vocal. No, I'm good at being vocal too. I just don't make any sense when I am vocal. But she's very gifted at teaching voice studio and conquering strain and to work with stuff and work with people. And so, Judy, welcome to the show. I've done probably a horrible job of introducing you. But
no, not at all. No, I love it. And I'm so grateful to be on the show. Yeah, I love Positive Talk Radio. I've listened to it for a while, and I love the diversity that you bring up, all the voices. I mean, I'm into voices anyway, all things vocal. But I love the voices that you have on. So I'm glad to be among them.
Well, and thank you, because anybody, in my opinion, we are a diverse group, this human family of ours, and anybody that is positive and wants to do something great for other people and to work with other people, then my door is open to them.
Mine too.
And it makes it a lot more fun for us to get through life and stuff. So it really is cool. And you and I met not too long ago, and we had a nice conversation, and I knew I had to have you on. I wanted you to be on KKNW because of the number of listeners that we have and are gathering here. So
it's nice to be back on radio.
Yes, indeed. And what was interesting, I was reading an article today, and this it's one of those things online where somebody asks a question and then they get a bunch of responses. And the question was, does anybody listen to AM radio anymore? And so she was anticipating everybody saying, no, it's dead, it's gone, it's not, nobody. That wasn't what she got back. What she got back was, I listen to it all the time. There's there's stuff on AM radio that you can't get anywhere else. And so a lot of people listen to it. They especially a station like KKNW, because it's a very diverse station. It's not run by the suits who make it go a certain way. So you can take your show in any direction you want. My direction has been around for 20 years. So I just want to be positive for people and to create a lot of fun and to educate people. Did I say educate? I did. Educate people at the same time.
Yeah. Well, my mantra is, or my byline is, I finally landed on it, and it's all things vocal for voices with messages that matter. So
I like that.
Yeah, I think that's what you're talking about.
Yes, indeed, because you work with people that are have done TED Talks and want to really become professional speakers and have got a really good message that they'd like to get out there. But it's an art form, isn't it?
It is an art form, and it's also a science. And the trick is to get those things together. So I always say, all the technique that I could teach you, all the technique in the world anybody could teach you, you could just get it perfectly right. But if you don't have anything to say, or you're just, parroting words out there that you think people want to hear, then the technique is for naught. It's the same thing with singers, that a lot of times might win a talent show or a big talent contest, and 15 minutes later they're done and they're like, what? So it takes both knowing how to use the voice and having a reason to, that makes a difference.
I couldn't agree more, because it is important that I can't tell you how many shows are out there that I listen to from time to time, and on television and radio, that they're parroting the same thing. And it's all based upon what they think the ratings are going to be, how many people are necessarily listening, how they want to form their audience, and all that. I mean, there's a whole science behind it, but I don't like that, because
like the scripts have been written by chat GPT or something.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
And for me, it doesn't allow for honest expression of thought, because you feel like everybody's got to do the same thing, and I don't buy that. I've been told I'm rather unusual that way.
And I just heard, I think it was Alan Alda's podcast, which is called Clear and Vivid, I think. And he was talking to someone that specialized in the voice, who lost his from screaming in a rock band anyway, which is kind of funny, but now he's written a book on it. And it's all about the voice, having a reason, have a raison d'etre, to actually make a sound. And then what you're saying is more important than how you're saying it, but how you say it can get it in more deeply and also allow you the vocal health to keep saying it, if you know what I mean. But as they were chatting, they were bringing up this idea of why podcasts are so popular, and podcast is just another version of a radio show, right? It's just kind of set in different places. But the thing is that podcast chats tend to be more authentic. where you really are talking to each other and you're not like pre-scripted about neither one of you are like totally pre-scripted. You might have some questions that you've come up to be talking points, but you don't know what I'm going to say and I don't know what you're going to say. And together we can say things we never even thought of. So I think that's the authenticity of voices communicating, and not GPT, not ChatGPT, which is a wonderful tool for research and all kinds of other things, but it will never replace authentic human chatting, conversation.
Conversation is a very important part of what we do as humans. The honest exchange of information back and forth of what your experience tells you and what mine tells me, and then we can talk back and forth about it. It really is vital to our health, because as a community, as people being together, understanding that we are all together whether we like it or not. There isn't a matter of I don't like them; they're still our family,
right?
So,
right.
So it's important for us to get to work together and to have a solid, clear voice. What was his name? Guy who lost his voice. There was another guy that he was a heavy guy. I forgot what his name was. Anyway, he lost his voice singing as well, because he wasn't trained properly.
Job security for me.
Exactly. And there are lots of kids. Have you heard some of the music that some of the kids are doing now?
Yeah.
And how the screaming and things like that.
But it has always been so. I mean, there've always been metal screamers, and Elvis could get loud every once in a while, and so it's not really a new phenomena so much as maybe they're doing it more often, or the damage is getting diagnosed actually. But it's definitely an issue. And the speaking voice, vocal fry has just become a cultural thing of coolness, which I've got to say it's not.
Because what is cultural fry?
Vocal fry. Vocal fry is where you end every sentence in a Kim Kardashian sort of way, where you just end up on the gravel as you're talking. And this drives me nuts. And for everybody else that's listening, it probably drives them nuts too.
People do that on purpose?
They do, just to be cool. Okay, but it's not cool. It's vocally damaging.
I had no earthly idea that was actually a thing. I must
now
be
now you're gonna listen for it.
I will.
It's more common with females, but even some. I mean, there are reporters here and there. Not many talk show hosts that do it, because you can't do it and survive. For like a professional speaking job. If you're just being interviewed from time to time, you can get by with it. But I mean, I know. Like doctors, like speech pathologists who use vocal fry and don't even realize it. So it's just a really bad habit. And so the cool thing is we know more about why it's bad, and we know more also to keep what seems to be a career-killing end to your vocal career, actually not, where it is recoverable. Now, if you're like Julie Andrews, and a doctor cuts into your cord too deep, there's nothing you can do about that. But I would say get help before you need that. And she falls on vocal fry.
Right. So there are people like me. I'm not exactly sure. When we're talking about vocal fry, we're talking about manipulating your voice in a non-normal way, which is actually hurtful.
It's become normal for some people, for a lot of people, really. And what it is you're not supporting your voice to the end of your sentence, or you're not breathing deep enough to support your voice to the end of the sentence. And it's like your boat runs aground. Your voice continues on past where your air is. So there's your vocal cords just kind of rub together like that. And it's just really, it creates ear fatigue after a while. Don't you think?
Drive me crazy.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
I can't imagine doing it.
It's not really listenable. Now you're going to listen for it.
I am. I'm going to try and do it when I'm off air. I'm going to try and do it just to see if I can. But it's not, if it's not healthy, because I do Well, when I was doing KKNW in 2003, I did
Mhm.
2 hours a day, 5 days a week. And you have to take care of yourself and take care of your voice if you're going to do it that much.
Yeah,
And
you
I
sure.
do 6 to 8 podcasts a week, so that's
Ooh,
close to what I was doing back then. And I love it because I love the people that I get to talk to.
yeah.
And apparently I manage my voice okay.
You have a beautiful voice, sir. I must tell you, and that from me, that's high praise.
Well, thank you. I had I had no idea. See, everybody, I'm here for a reason. Stop it. So, well, I appreciate that. I really do.
Yeah, it's like people's voices should sound unique and express their own personalities and their own their nature and nurture, their own physical instrument and their own, things that make up the messages as they speak. So everybody has some uniqueness about their voice, but you can and there's a great range of things you can do with your voice in a healthy way. And even metal screamers, if you can do some little vocal fry things or cry, things when you're singing, if you want to use a stylized kind of thing. But I have a way of teaching doing that backwards. I call it pulling instead of pushing. So I feel good. You can do that backwards and not lose your voice from it. But it's almost like inhaling. Jamie Vendera calls it the inhalation sensation, and I call it pulling. I also call it speaking above the lava when you've got a case of the phlegm, It's like you speak from your eyes instead of your mouth. And this is a little, you may tell you a little trick I use with my students to get them off vocal fry or off sort of a flat tone, monotone or thin tone is this is a trick that I kind of changed a little bit from something Melissa Cross does, who's a LA vocal coach that works with a lot of rockers. And she'll put a pencil in their mouth sideways and say, sing from above the pencil. And man, if you do that and you try to, she didn't even have to explain it. You just try to pull your voice from above where you feel that pencil is. Well, you can do the same thing by putting your hand right in the middle of your face, like I'm doing now, about nose level, and say, okay, speak or sing from above your hand. And two big things happen. One, your voice gets more interesting, but it also gets less phlegmy and less tired. Because this is the healthy way for the voice is to be accessing the full throat channel, which goes above and behind you. It's like the postnasal drip zone, but it's up about eye level where that starts, about eye level. The throat channel is the back of the nose, which goes all the way up to the eyebrows and then goes on down the throat and out, out the mouth. So it's like a forked channel. And if you open that channel, then you're not going to push through all that stuff that you're trying to push through or tighten it and sound thin, and a lot of bad vocal tone is just when the channel is messed up. So you open the channel and everything changes. So that's a cool trick.
You have a beautiful voice too.
Thank you. Well, I've practiced.
For a moment there, you sounded like what's her name? Who did was in
all in the family.
Yes.
And we knew when we were there. Yeah, whatever that is. Yeah.
Yeah, and also she was in I forget. Every time I do that voice, I can't remember. But it's how do you? I really want to know this because I have a lot of people that I interview. I figured out the other day that I've done over 2,000 interviews.
Wow.
And
wow,
huh?
That's great.
And but a lot of people are baritone.
Mm-hmm.
They don't give their voice life. Does that make sense?
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah. The cave isn't open. And so let me give you a couple of other little fun things that you can do and your audience can do too to manipulate the shape of your cave. And see if you're a background singer, like a stunt singer, as I call us, and you're singing behind somebody that's thin, and then send somebody that's wide. You have to manipulate the throat channel to sound like it. You need to sound to have the sound they want in that background, track. But also, like voiceover artists that have to change their voices for different characters, you have to manipulate that cave. And so it works. It's a really good thing to know how to do, even if you just want to improve your own vocal tone, right? Or give yourself more options, or make it feel healthier. And it has to do with the way the throat channel opens, which is up, down, and back. Most people don't know about the back part.
Right.
But if you make your eyes poker face, as they say, and like you're not talking to anybody, or if you are, you don't want them to see inside your soul by looking in your eyes. So your eyes are dead as doornails. And if you see, I'm doing that right now, you can hear the vocal fry start to come in my voice. And I'm, but if you count to 3 that way, all right. So then we're going to count to 3 after we open our eyes really wide, and you can hear my voice change, just my speaking voice change, right? Even though I'm not trying to do anything. All right. So let's count to 3 with our eyes half masked. 1, 2, 3. And then eyes real wide. 1, 2, 3. Notice how it feels. Notice how it sounds differently.
It sounds so much more clear.
Yeah.
And concise when it's wide open. That look you were just giving, for those of you that can't see it, it's kind of like the Clint Eastwood look, where it's you got a very squinty and that one.
Yeah, squinty, small eyes. Yeah, like poker faced eyes, as I call it, and then crazy eyes. The same thing goes with the jaw. A lot of your interviewers would inevitably not move their mouth very much. And so if you don't do that, it changes everything. So if you don't move your jaw very much and you just kind of talk from the back of your throat, you can hear the change in my voice right now. And if I count to 3 that way, 1, 2, 3, moving my jaw, it's 1, 2, 3. Much more interesting, much more colorful, much more variable. And if I put eyes and mouth together, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Much more interesting. But there's one more way that people don't know about, and that's having to do with where our podcast mics are right now, right? That is back. And that little throat channel, okay, if you move your neck bone back an inch or 2, you can feel that in your ears. Well, how's that possible? Because the throat channel runs right down there. And if you speak all day long with your head forward, and I work with voiceover artists that have this problem and don't know why their voice is tired, but you run out of breath, because your rib cage is tight and your throat channel is tight from the back. But if you move the mic towards you, and you're able to breathe in the first place, but you're also able to control your breath because your rib cage is wide, and you can hear the difference in my voice.
Mm-hmm.
So the thing to do is, of course, move our knees forward if we can, or move the mic towards us. And that can change everything. It's easy to get into the habit of going forward while you're talking on the phone, or all day, even on Zoom meetings and stuff. You're leaning on your elbows and kind of talking, or you're kind of slumping in your chair. And that is going to give you vocal fatigue. And if you know about me, you're going to come my way and I'm going to tell you to back off.
Well, I will tell you that I was in sales and sales management for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And guys that would get up and they would talk in front of the room, and we'd talk in front of customers, and we were sitting in vice presidents' offices and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I tell you that how you present your voice makes a huge difference in how you're perceived as an intelligent human being.
Absolutely. Or trustable.
Or trustable.
Or if you're really interested in them, or if you're just, monotonely going through your spiel.
Yeah. And it's vital if you're going to be a successful salesperson that there's some things you can't do about your voice, but you can maximize its ability to make the point that you want to make to the best of your ability.
Right.
That's why I'm doing a commercial for you. Is that okay?
Yes. And you know what? Everybody can open their throat channel better. I mean, you do have a physical throat channel. Andrea Bocelli is not going to ever be able to sound like Willie Nelson or the opposite, because their physical instruments are different shape, and so is the throat channel and the mask, the thickness of bone, and all kinds of stuff like that go into it. But we've all, if we're human beings, got a throat channel that looks pretty much the same, and we can all make it bigger.
Yeah, and of course, Willie has had quite a little bit of, smoke going down his.
Well, yeah, there's that.
So that changes everything. By the way, we're talking with Judy Rodman. She's a vocal coach, vocal producer, a music producer, a songwriter, an artist, a public speaker, and she can work with you to get your voice going the way it should be. Go to our website, which again is judyrodman.com, and you can get her 9-page report, vocal health tips for getting and keeping and recovering good voice, plus her newsletter, and it's all there for nothing. And thank you for doing that. That's really cool.
Oh, you're welcome. Yeah, I've had a lot of people enjoy that, and it can make a whole lot of difference, even if that's all you do. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Now we need to take a break right now, but it's only going to be for a couple of moments, guys. And we'll got a couple of commercials to play, and then we'll be back with more. And when we come back, I want to talk more about if you work with people that are on stage and screen, how you maximize their voice, keep their and then also the art form of dialect. We haven't even talked about this. I just thought I'd bring it up. Yeah. Can you make yesterday was St. Patty's Day, and I was wondering if Eric does it better than I do. But, so anyway, you're listening to Positive Talk Radio on KKNW 1150 AM. We will be right back after these commercial messages. Hey there. I'm excited that you're listening right now, and if you like what we're doing here, you're going to love positivetalkradio.net. On positivetalkradio.net, each show, which is recorded live, is packed with positive information, with real people discussing real issues and positive solutions that can work for everyone. I hope that you'll join us on positivetalkradio.net and listen to all 340 plus shows. I think it's worth your time. But then, that's just me. That's positivetalkradio.net, your home for great progressive positive podcasts.
When you want to say more than words communicate, you can with flowers. Your custom boutique floral studio in Bothell, Washington is anaturaldesign.com, connecting you to nature through the language of flowers. Where your people are is where our flowers are beautiful. Your success is our goal. anaturaldesign.com, at your fingertips today.
Hey, my friend. I'd really like to thank you for listening to the show today. As you may know, I started Positive Talk Radio way back in 2003. We were one of the first shows on KKNW. For 11 months, I was fortunate to be part of many lives, making a positive difference with great interviews and discussions, creating new thoughts and ideas. Sadly, for financial reasons, I had to terminate the show. Well, it took 18 years, but we're back better than ever. And not only on KKNW Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, but also podcasting with several inspiring channels with the same driving passion as the original. Please visit kmmedia.pro for complete information about all of these shows. In addition, if you feel called to keep positive programming on the air, you can join us by sponsoring the show and aligning yourself with our mission, which is nothing short of saving the planet and each other. Again, that's kmmedia.pro. I'll see you there. And welcome back to Positive Talk Radio. My name is Kevin McDonald. You're listening to KKNW 1150 AM. And our guest today, her name is Judy Rodman. What do you think of those commercials? Were those okay?
Love it. Oh yeah, really did. Yeah, they're just beautiful. The flowers were beautiful. Well done, succinctly put, and I'd be interested in each one of them. So
Yeah.
you know,
Well, you know what's interesting is that her name is Holly,
uh-huh.
and she works with me from time to time, and I use her as a voiceover artist, which by the way, being a voiceover artist is much harder than you might think it is. Because I remarked to her, I said, you know, when you speak and you can hear your voice, it's like you can hear the smile in your
Oh
speech
yeah.
patterns when you're talking.
Mhm.
And she said, well, I learned that a long time ago. A vocal coach,
Ta-da.
told me that if you smile when you're talking, that you appear to much more positive, and it affects people so much differently. Did you find that to be true?
Yes, so much so that you have to watch what kind of smile you give. It has to match the words coming out of your face. So, and the reason I say that, actually, smiling was one of the very first things I learned about vocal technique back when I was doing jingles in Memphis. And my group leader, I was the tiniest bit flat. And in those days, editing required blood, so you couldn't, there wasn't any tuners or anything for
Right.
you guys that don't know what I'm talking about. You have to, there was no digital stuff. You have to cut the tape with a razor blade and tape it together to get out whatever it was that was bad. But anyway, I learned that if you smile just a little bit, you can raise your pitch ever so slightly, and that's all I needed to do. But if you smile like that, and you do that when you're singing or you're speaking, you can get vocal fatigue, because that kind of tightens your channel. If you'll squint right there with behind at your eyes, you'll feel that squint. You can feel that go down, to your soft palate. And you can feel it kind of tighten the channel up a little bit. So instead, I tell people, smile like it's like the Mona Lisa smile, or the smile that says, I know what you did last summer.
Cheshire cat smile.
Yeah. Not the grimace, not the grimace Cheshire cat, because that tightens your throat up. But smiling with, without the lines that in the side of your eye, that's the best. That's the very best. And then, there's all kinds of things you can pick. You can pick how much you smile. You can pick how musical your voice is, going up or down. And if your copy that you're reading is a public announcement thing about the world is ending and you need to go kiss your loved ones goodbye, that shouldn't be real smiley. But, but if it is a wonderful, like she's doing with these gorgeous flowers in this, just, speaking about these positive things, then without a smile, it won't sound real. It won't sound like, and she sounds like she's really into what she's talking about. Another thing that she knows, I'm sure, that our actors know, and that I remind voiceover people when they forget, which sometimes they do. If you're doing voiceover all day and there's nobody you're looking at because you're just recording it, right? You forget that you're talking to somebody instead of talking to the mic, which, good luck getting that to respond to you. It's all about getting a response from one heart. And the heart needs to be the heart, the stuff that's coming out of your face is actually two. So you and I are actually talking to each other for the benefit of the audience listening. So I know I'm talking to you, and I talk to you with my eyes, and you talk to me with yours. And it makes a difference in how we sound. And that's interesting.
Yes.
But if so, the thing that's different about voiceover is that almost always you're reading it at the same time you're recording it, and that is a learned skill. You have to practice that, because otherwise you just sound like you're reading a poem like you're reading a book, instead of you're in the moment reading it like you just wrote it.
Exactly. Well, and I've done voiceovers. As a matter of fact, if you go to my Patreon account, I have a book called Elmo. Matt Shea's the author, and it's like
Ah,
180 pages, and I voiced it for him.
oh,
And it's I will tell you, it is the most challenging thing to do a voiceover and to do different voices and to know
characters.
the story so that you know what is important within that story and what needs to be emphasized. It's time consuming, and you gotta read the book first, and then you got to know what you're talking about. And it really do you have a lot of people that get in? I can be a voiceover artist. I know how to do
Oh
that.
yeah.
Do you
Oh
find that
yeah.
they get there's a
Y-
lot of work to this?
Yeah, and if you just giving the voice of God, as they used to call it, that's no longer sounding authentic, and it doesn't sell things as well as just sounding human. Right
I,
now, I'm working with the Disney cast of a brand new animated series that will be coming out in 2024. And these two kids, they are unbelievable voiceover artists. And I just mainly have to remind them, okay, don't forget that the kids that are listening to you, yeah, you got to say this fast, but they also need to know what you're saying. So they have to move their mouths a little bit more than usual, and sometimes they know to try it a couple of different ways, but they're always looking for that response back. The other thing is they were getting vocally tired. So I made sure that their head was balanced over their butts if they're sitting or their heels if they're standing, and they can last a lot longer doing it as well. But it's going to be the precious little series. And it's been a blast to work with these two children. Their mothers are, I think, well, one of them's mother also a professional voiceover artist. I don't know where the other one learned it, but she's already been in she's been in some movies and things. Juliet Dunnenfeld. Amari is the other little kid, and they just blow me away because they're amazing. But it's so much fun to work with that. And then they have to sing some things too, which requires a sense of pitch and rhythm and all that stuff. So
oh,
there's
it's
a lot of
it's
pressure on them.
it's daunting.
Yeah.
Now you know Tom Hanks. I mean, not necessarily personally,
Yeah.
but he was saying that he was um, at a premiere, and of course they were going to do Toy Story 4, and he announced prematurely that Toy Story 4 was going to be. Somebody said, "You're going to do a fourth one," and he said, "Yeah, sure." He got a call the next day from the Disney lawyers. They said, Mr. Hanks, you're not allowed to talk about stuff like that because you can affect the price of stock."
Oh my gosh.
So,
Oh
so,
my goodness.
so are you allowed to say what the
Yes,
show that you're working on was?
I am because I asked. I know better than to
Smart,
say it without.
very
It's
smart of you.
gonna it's gonna be called, Hey AJ, and it's two best friend little girls, and it's a little the father of one of them and, is in it, and another little kid they call Innocent, they call, let's see, a jazz man or jazz something. Anyway, there's like 3 little kids and 1 big football player dad, um, who was who was in the Patriots. What was his name? Marty Bennett. Anyway, so I'm
It,
working with the kids, and
it
it's called Hey Agent.
wasn't Gronk, was it?
No, it
Gronkowski?
wasn't. It was Smart. Gosh, I can't believe I don't know the name. They call him Marty. Is with the Patriots, and then but he's no longer with them because he wanted to take care of his family. He's got little kids and all that, and he came to my friend out in LA with this script, and it's about the Black culture, little kids, where they talk about things that other races don't actually, have to deal with. For instance, how you wear your hair at night and how you keep the tangles out of it. And they have this little tangle monster thing they speak to. So it's a very positive, very wholesome uh, series that is accessible, and the music is to die for. I mean, it's going to replace Frozen in the playlists. I think parents everywhere will be very happy to listen to Hey AJ. but it's about, kids becoming responsible, and it's got a moral center to it while they're having fun and using incredible imaginations. So I'm just really thrilled to be a part of it. But it is fascinating to watch an 8-year-old do voiceover like no pro. I mean, like as good as any pro I've ever seen. And they have to know who they're talking to, and the most important thing is, what do they want the response to be? And if you add that to it, then all of a sudden they're in real time playing and having fun together. They're in real time, and it's really interesting.
It's voiceovers would be a dynamic thing to learn because it really is. It really is difficult to learn, and
you have to use your imagination for sure.
Yeah. Well, do you think that somebody that is like an improvisational actor would be better at that than somebody who's not really gifted at improv?
Yeah, well, you know what? That's funny that you should ask, because when I first moved to Nashville, 1980, from Memphis, I took, for some reason, I don't know why I did it, but I took a few acting lessons, and I have used every 5 minutes that I was in those classes in my career, singing and giving interviews and talking and all that, and now coaching it. The acting technique, I think all singers should take acting, and all voiceover artists should try to sing, because it's a good exercise for their voices, and it gives them a little more width of range and control to do that. So kind of interdisciplinary kind of thing. And it's great fun. Even if you're just reading to grandchildren or reading to your child, try reading it like you're really in character,
Oh yeah. They used to do that. I don't know.
I know.
We used to go to, I mentioned this on a previous show. We used to go to the library.
The library. Yep.
All of us, little kids we'd have a teacher in front of us, a teacher behind, and then all the kids would be single file going down, and we'd go from the school to the library. We would mess around there for a little bit, then we'd all sit down, and this wonderful lady would sit down and read a story to us.
And it wasn't monotone, was it?
Oh no, it was just so real. And it was like, we could then just sit there and use our imagination to picture in our minds what she was saying.
Right. It's like radio.
Exactly. Now there was a guy here, and the last hour I was talking to and a director he was a teacher and a director. He's been in the Seattle area for 50 years. And there was a guy, and he's passed on now. His name was Jim French, and he did old time radio dramas.
Oh man.
And you talk about having to be gifted and right on with your vocal approach and how it works for all the different characters and all of that.
Yeah.
That would be really, I imagine that you would really enjoy working with a group of professionals who were doing that.
I would. And another place you can hear amazing voices tell stories, of course, is some places that still have them in the craft fairs or something like that, is the old storytellers. If you can find some of that, I'll never forget my childhood listening to, going to a craft fair out in the country or something in our travels, and listening to an old Native American storyteller, or just an older person who they really knew how to scare you with those ghosts, Yeah.
That's precious, and that is so true. That is so true. And
I miss that.
We've lost the ability to tell a story and to sit there and be quiet and listen to someone who lives something that is beyond our comprehension because it happened before we were born.
Right.
What it was like in 1930 with my mom. What was it like to grow up and to have the one bathroom, the bath that was in the middle of the kitchen? If they wanted to have chicken on Sunday night, all they had to do was go out into the yard and kill the thing. and to kill the thing. And that's how I knew for sure that chickens will run with their heads cut off.
Yeah.
Because my mother told me, yep, they do. Yes, they do. And
that's not just a saying.
No. Yeah. And so, Americana is so rich in history and everything. It would be great if we did that more. But thank you for taking care of people's voices.
Oh, I love it. It's my calling, and I do love voices with messages that matter. I do care about them.
What do you think of and this isn't necessarily positive, but I do want to make sure that everybody understands that your voice is an instrument that and if you are a Whitney Houston and you have got a rare gift, the way that lady had the rare gift, and then you take it for granted and abuse it, and then you lose it.
Yeah. Well, the thing about addiction, whatever you're addicted to, even if it's work, there's not a logical choice there.
True.
What you have to do is somehow find the strength inside you or the outside help that can help you overcome your demons. And so therefore you can't really judge why she did it or why she wasn't strong enough to defeat it. And I'll give you a prime example of that. And that is that I smoked for years. And I didn't drink, I've never drunk very much, but I smoked because it is a bit of the cigarette is a liar. And it will tell you that it's soothing you while it's killing you. And I needed, I had a lot of stress. But what's funny is a lot of people like ballet dancers, people that sing at the Met, people that sing, of course, big rock bands and stuff, they smoke. It's any kind of addiction, whatever, like I say, is not a logic thing. That doesn't mean it doesn't matter, because it does. Boy, I'm so glad that I quit many, many years ago. But I feel for the ones that are caught in it, And the voice is attached to everything, down to your big toe. If your big toe hurts, it's going to affect your voice, because it's going to, these little vocal cords, they demand all of your attention. And so they're like the canary in the coal mine. If something's wrong with your voice, you figure it out, get it checked out, because there might be something, even psychologically, that you need to address.
It's interesting that you can tell when somebody picks up the phone. You can tell in the first 5 seconds if they're having a good day or if they're having a bad day, or if they're not feeling good, or they're feeling ecstatic, or they're sick, or whatever it is, because the voice is like a window to you. They say the eyes are the window to the soul, but I think the voice also is, don't you think?
Well, the eyes affect the voice, so that's the way it works. Yep.
Oh, there you go.
There you go. And guess what else I can tell over the phone? Whether or not your eyebrows are raised. I always freak people out, because where your eyebrows are change the sound of your voice.
Well, let me try that. If I raise you're right, it does. My voice goes up.
Well, it doesn't just go up, it comes open. And all of a sudden you're actually talking to someone with your eyes. It doesn't mean you have to have buggy eyes while you're talking or singing, but it does mean you have to have eye language so that your voice can ask for that channel to be moved, or the ceiling to be lifted just where it wants it to be lifted, because all the frequencies that you'll sing or say, they like to live in different places, and they're like in your resonance system. And I like to say the pitches that we sing and say, that we use to communicate with, they're like cats. They want to be in the most comfortable room in the house, or in the position, on the window ledge. So we have to always be changing the channel. I mean, the voice demands it. The voice needs action. It needs movement. It needs you to be able to be alive. And if you're not moving, your voice sounds dead, which is, they call dead people stiffs, and stiff people don't sing or talk very well. So
that's exactly right. Now, is that why when I was a little kid and I was getting in trouble, my voice would always go up?
Oh, yeah, That's the typical animal sound of submission.
Well, that makes sense. And
And your mama's got to be more of an alto sort of tone.
it's so true. There's a lot that you have to study about voices and stuff because the nuances are just huge.
Yeah, they are. It's fascinating. I've been doing it. I've singing and speaking for a living for 50 years, but I've been teaching for about 20, 25 years. And almost every week I learn something new. Funny thing is though, everything that I learn about the voice, with one exception, and that's that the ear matters too. If you're singing, you've got to have a sense of pitch, or you have to develop it if you don't have one. But everything that I ever learned about the voice or ever experienced that was important for the way I work my voice or other people work their voice can fit into 3 categories that I put into my method of teaching. And that I call it power, path, and performance. And the power part is breath, which needs to be double-sided breath support, breath control engine centered in the pelvic floor, not in your diaphragm, but in the pelvic floor. So you widen your ribs instead of tighten your ribs. And that gives you breath control. So breath is one. Second one is this open throat business I'm talking about, where you can change, the voice wants access to movement. That's what I was trying to remember the other couple of minutes ago. But the voice wants access to movement so it can change what it wants to. So that the throat channel is the second thing. And the third thing is performance. And by that, I mean communication skill and intent. Why am I making a sound? To whom am I making a sound? And what do I want back to show me that I was successfully making a sound, delivering that message? And then I'm good. If I put those 3 things together and they're synergistic, they affect each other.
And then, of course, in my line of work, when you start doing and that and too much of that can be a whole
filler words.
Filler, because you don't want to be quiet. You don't want silence to dominate, where in fact,
yes,
silence at times can be a very, very powerful moment.
Yes. Peter George is a friend of mine, and he is a speaker's coach for designing speeches and stuff. And he's awesome. This is the way he put it that I used actually. And I've got a course called Speaking Voice Technique that you can find at speakingvoicetechnique.com. And Peter let me put this quote that I'm about to tell you in that. And it is, there's power in the pauses.
That's it.
Simple as that.
That is it, because it makes people stop and take notice about what you're about to say.
Mm-hmm.
And they assume that it is important.
It lets people have time to digest what you just said and be ready for your next thing. It also gives you time to breathe and think about what you're about to say next. And people that are afraid that they're going to lose the attention of the person or the audience that they're speaking to, that if they don't keep talking, they'll drift off like ducks.
Yep.
And it's not true. And if it is, those are not the people you're talking to anyway.
And your voice tends to go up. You end up talking faster, and it becomes a whole. And you don't
run-on sentence.
Yes. Yeah. So, by the way, we've been talking with Judy Rodman. Go to her website, which is judyrodman.com, RODMAN. On the very front page, she's got a free 9-page report, vocal health. Sign up for it. The newsletter comes with it. And you can also talk to her. She's got all kinds of things for you to participate with her in a number of ways. She's been doing this, a lot longer than I've been alive.
Oh, but I like to say I started before I was born.
Exactly. She's remarkable. We've got just about 1 minute left. I want to give it to you to tell our audience anything you'd like them to know.
I'm so glad that you're still listening to radio and that you're back listening to radio and podcasts. I'm joining you in doing the same thing. Thank you for being with Kevin and hanging out with me for a minute. And just remember, your voice is important. And so what you put in your voice is important. And then you're responsible for the responses you get from your voice.
You are a remarkable young lady. Will you come back and see me again?
I will, anytime.
This has been way too much fun, and I enjoy.
Thank you, Kevin.
Oh, you're so welcome. You know, we didn't even talk about dialects. Do you teach dialects too?
I don't teach them, but I've had to do them. And what you do is this miming thing. It's a real quick 3-step process to learn anything stylistically or dialectically about the voice that you want to. And that's listen, like really actively listen, then mime it to where you are in your imagination doing exactly what you're listening to. And that's what people miss, that miming step. And then do it. And then do that enough. And you're going to sound, not only you'll be able to do a dialect, but you'll sound much more like authentically that.
Again, we've been talking with Judy Rodman. Go to judyrodman.com. And I want to thank everybody for being here. And by the way, remember to take care of each other, because each other's all we've got. We'll see you Wednesday at 4.